The quantum probability sensors aboard the TSS Hawking weren't supposed to show negative readings. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her instruments, recalibrating them for the third time. The anomaly persisted, a bubble of space where probability itself seemed to flow backward, clustering around their research vessel like oil on water. Dr. Chen, Captain Michael Reeves' voice carried a note of concern. You've been quiet for 10 minutes. What are the readings telling you? Sarah pushed her graying hair back from her face, choosing her words carefully. Captain, according to every instrument we have, we're generating a field that's altering quantum probability in our vicinity. It's as if. She paused, knowing how impossible it would sound. As if we're changing how likely or unlikely events are just by being here. The bridge of the Hawking fell silent. Humanity's first deep space research vessel had been studying quantum mechanics in deep space for 6 months, hoping to understand why their faster-than-light drive worked when all theoretical models said it shouldn't. Now, they might have their answer. Show me, Reeves ordered, moving to her station. Sarah brought up the visualization, a 3-dimensional model showing probability waves around their ship. Normal space showed as blue, but around the Hawking, the waves turned purple, then red, indicating areas where quantum probability was becoming increasingly unstable. It's not just us, Sarah continued, bringing up historical data. Every human ship that's ventured beyond Mars has generated these fields. We just never had the right instruments to detect them before. Our FTL drives don't break physics, Captain. They just make the impossible more probable. Before Reeves could respond, the ship's AI chimed in. Unknown vessel detected at extreme sensor range. Configuration matches no known human design. First contact. It had to happen during her shift. Sarah felt her heart racing as the alien ship approached. It was beautiful, all crystalline angles and geometric perfection. As it drew closer, their probability field touched the alien vessel's space. The reaction was immediate. The alien ship recoiled as if struck, its perfect geometries suddenly wavering. Emergency signals flooded their communications array. They're broadcasting in multiple formats. Communications Officer Raj Patel reported. The universal translator is, wait, they're speaking English. That's impossible. They couldn't have learned it so quickly. Not impossible, Sarah whispered, watching her probability displays. Just very, very improbable. And we just made improbable things more likely. The alien transmission cut through their confusion. Human vessel, power down immediately. You are generating reality distortion fields that violate the fundamental laws of physics. This sector is under the protection of the Galactic Probability Control Board. Your presence here risks catastrophic causality failure. Captain Reeves straightened his uniform. This is Captain Michael Reeves of the TSS Hawking. We mean no harm. Please explain what you mean by reality distortion fields. The alien response came with an edge of panic. Your species has been quarantined for a reason. Your quantum experiments, your attempts to understand probability. You weren't just observing reality. You were teaching it new tricks. Every human ship carries a wake of altered probability, making the impossible possible. You must return to your system immediately. Sarah's instruments showed the probability distortions growing stronger, as if responding to the aliens' fear. Captain, she said urgently, their ship's systems are being affected by our field. Their quantum technology is designed for normal probability space. In our bubble, nothing works quite the way it should. The alien ship's perfect geometries were noticeably warping now. You don't understand what you're doing, the alien transmitted. Your species meddling with probability has created permanent changes in your solar system. If you spread these changes to the wider galaxy, you risk unraveling the very fabric of causality itself. We can't just give up space exploration. Reeves responded firmly. Our species has dreamed of the stars for millennia. We won't be confined to our system because our ships make the impossible possible. You will be confined by force if necessary, the alien replied. The board has maintained probability stability for 50,000 years. We will not allow your chaos to spread. The alien ship's weapons powered up. Beautiful arrays of quantum technology that Sarah's instruments showed were already beginning to malfunction in their probability field. "Captain," Sarah said quietly, "according to these readings, their weapons have only a 2% chance of functioning correctly in our probability bubble, and that percentage is dropping." Reeves nodded grimly. "Stand down," he transmitted to the alien vessel. "Your weapons won't work properly here, and we don't want this situation to escalate. Let's talk about this rationally." The alien ship tried to fire. Their quantum beam weapons twisted in impossible ways, curving away from the Hawking like water flowing uphill. Sarah watched in fascination as probability itself seemed to protect them. "Fascinating," she breathed. "Our field doesn't just affect probability. It reshapes it according to our unconscious desires. We wanted their weapons to miss, so reality adjusted to make that the most probable outcome." The alien ship was retreating now, its perfect crystalline form increasingly distorted. "The board will be notified," they transmitted. "Your species has broken the fundamental law of probability conservation. There will be consequences." As the alien ship fled, Sarah turned to Captain Reeves. "Sir, if they're right about permanent probability changes, every human ship that leaves our system will be creating lasting alterations to the fabric of reality. We're not just exploring space. We're changing the rules of the universe itself." Reeves stared at the retreating alien vessel, his expression thoughtful. "Send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Tell them we've made first contact, and we've discovered why our ships work when they shouldn't. Humanity doesn't break the laws of physics. We teach reality new ones." Sarah nodded, turning back to her instruments. The probability distortions were still spreading, rippling out from the Hawking like waves in a cosmic pond. Humanity had dreamed of reaching the stars. Now they were discovering that their very presence reshaped the universe around them. The real question wasn't whether they could survive first contact. It was whether the galaxy could survive humanity's gift for making the impossible probable. As Sarah composed her report, she couldn't help but smile. The aliens feared them for changing reality. But wasn't that what humans had always done? They took the impossible and made it probable, the improbable and made it certain. Now they were doing it on a cosmic scale. The galaxy would never be the same. And perhaps that was exactly what it needed. 6 months after first contact, the Quantum Engineering Center in Luna Base hummed with activity. Dr. Sarah Chen watched through reinforced windows as the experimental ship Improbable moved through its test maneuvers. Unlike the accidental probability fields generated by earlier vessels, this ship was designed to actively manipulate quantum probability. "Test Sequence 7 initiating," announced Commander Maya Rodriguez from the control room. The Improbable's hull shimmered as its probability drives activated. Around it, reality bent like light through water. Targeting 99.9% probability of FTL travel to Mars in under 1 second. Sarah held her breath. Previous tests had shown they could influence probability, but achieving specific outcomes was proving challenging. The Improbable's drives pulsed, and for a moment reality seemed to hiccup. The ship vanished. Mars Station reporting. Raj Patel's voice came through crisp and clear. "Improbable has arrived. Transit time, 0.87 seconds. A cheer went up through the control room. They'd done it. Intentionally manipulated probability to make the nearly impossible almost certain. "Dr. Chen," Director James Wong's voice cut through the celebration. "The alien diplomatic corps is demanding an explanation for the probability spike they just detected. They're claiming we violated the agreement to limit our probability manipulation research." Sarah straightened her lab coat. "Tell them exactly what we told them last time. Earth's sovereignty includes the right to conduct scientific research within our solar system. We're not violating their precious probability conservation laws if we're not leaving Sol." But she knew it wasn't that simple. The aliens, calling themselves the Probability Control Board, had been increasingly agitated by humanity's rapid advances in probability manipulation. What had started as an accidental side effect of human space travel was becoming a controlled science. New contact. Maya's voice carried alarm. Multiple board vessels just appeared at the edge of the system. They're generating some kind of probability dampening field. Sarah rushed to her instruments. The readings were clear. The alien ships were attempting to enforce normal probability in their vicinity, creating a zone where quantum manipulation became nearly impossible. Nearly. They still don't understand, she muttered. Maya, bring the improbable back. Full probability drive engagement. The experimental ship pulsed again. This time, reality didn't just bend, it twisted. The board's probability dampening field warped and shattered as the improbable simply rewrote the odds of its own success. The ship appeared back at Luna Base as if it had never left. Remarkable, Wong breathed. Their technology tries to enforce the original laws of physics. Ours just changes the laws themselves. Sarah nodded, studying the data. Every time we activate these drives, we're not just manipulating probability. We're teaching reality new patterns. The changes are becoming permanent. Look at these readings from Mars orbit. Even with their drives offline, our ships are leaving trails of altered probability in their wake. Like new neural pathways, Maya suggested, joining them at the display. We're not breaking physics. We're training it, teaching it new habits. A transmission cut through their discussion. The board's message was curt. Cease these experiments immediately. You are damaging the fundamental fabric of reality itself. This is your final warning. Wong's response was equally brief. These experiments will continue. Earth's sovereignty is not negotiable. As the alien ships retreated, Sarah turned to her colleagues. They're right about one thing. We are changing reality itself. Every probability manipulation leaves lasting effects. The question is, can we control those changes? Maya brought up new simulations on the main display. The improbable was just the prototype. Look at these designs for the next generation of probability drives. The holographic display showed 5 ships, each more advanced than their prototype. These weren't just vessels that could influence probability. They were ships designed to actively rewrite the laws of physics in their vicinity. The board is afraid of us, Wong said quietly, because we're doing something they never imagined possible. They've spent millennia maintaining what they call probability conservation. We're proving that reality itself can learn new tricks. Sarah studied the ship designs, her mind racing with possibilities. How long until the first one is ready? 3 months for the certainty, Maya replied. The others will follow 1 month apart. We're calling them the probability fleet. A warning flashed on the main display. More board ships approaching the solar system. This time, they were carrying what appeared to be weapons. They're not going to wait 3 months, Wong said grimly. We need to accelerate the timeline. Dr. Chen, you're now head of the Probability Fleet Project. Whatever resources you need, they're yours. Sarah nodded, already calculating the odds of completing the ships before the board decided to act. With conventional physics, it would be impossible. But they weren't playing by conventional physics anymore. Maya, reconfigure the improbable's probability drives. Let's see if we can make 3 months of work happen in 3 weeks. As her team rushed to comply, Sarah watched the alien ships through the window. The board thought they could contain humanity by enforcing the traditional laws of physics. They didn't understand that humans had spent their entire history doing the impossible. Now they were about to show the galaxy what happened when humanity decided to rewrite the rules of reality itself. The probability fleet would change everything, whether the universe was ready or not. And somewhere in the quantum foam of space-time, reality itself was learning new patterns, new possibilities. The age of probability conservation was over. The age of human probability engineering had begun. The probability fleet's first real combat test came sooner than anyone expected. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Certainty, watching as board warships took up blockade positions around Earth's major space lanes. Their probability-dampening fields created visible distortions in space, areas where the laws of physics were being forcibly reset to their original parameters. 500 ships, her XO, Lieutenant David Chen, reported. They're establishing overlapping fields to create a probability containment barrier. No conventional ship could pass through without losing FTL capability. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Good thing we're not conventional ships. The Certainty was just one of 5 vessels in humanity's new probability fleet, but each ship carried enough probability manipulation technology to rewrite physics within a light year of their position. Behind her, probability engineers worked at stations that looked more like artists' easels than traditional ship controls, actively painting new patterns into the fabric of reality. All ships, battle formation, she ordered. The probability fleet moved with impossible grace. The Certainty, the Paradox, the Quantum Dream, the Reality Storm, and the Law's End. Each vessel's hull rippled with quantum probability fields that made them appear to exist in multiple states simultaneously. "The board is broadcasting," David announced. "They're ordering us to power down our probability drives and submit to quarantine." "There?" He paused, checking his readings. "They're claiming our probability manipulation has already caused irreversible damage to 17 star systems." "Show me," Maya ordered. The main display lit up with data from their long-range sensors. In systems where human ships had previously traveled, reality itself had begun behaving differently. Probability no longer followed the old rules. In some areas, quantum effects were becoming visible on a macroscopic scale. "Captain," Sarah Chen's voice came through the comm. The physicist had insisted on being aboard for this confrontation. "The board ships are generating the strongest probability-dampening field we've ever encountered. They're trying to force a return to classical physics in our entire sector." Maya nodded. "Then let's show them why that won't work. All ships, initiate probability pattern alpha." The 5 ships of the probability fleet moved in perfect synchronization, their probability drives pulsing in harmony. Reality shuddered. Where the board's dampening field tried to enforce normal physics, the human ships simply rewrote probability itself. The barrier between the 2 zones of altered reality became visible, a shimmering curtain of quantum uncertainty. "Board vessels are firing conventional weapons," David reported calmly. "Probability of them hitting us is calculating 0.1%. Maya watched as energy beams and projectiles curved impossibly around her ships, their trajectories bent by probability fields that made successful hits virtually impossible. "Return fire," she ordered. "Probability torpedoes only." The human weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Rather than carrying explosive payloads, they carried concentrated probability manipulation fields. Where they struck, reality itself changed. Board ships found their quantum technology failing as the very laws of physics they relied on were rewritten. "Their fleet is falling back," David announced. "Their probability-dampening fields are failing." Captain, we're not just defeating their technology. We're changing space itself. These alterations to reality are becoming permanent." Sarah's voice was filled with both awe and concern. "Every probability manipulation we perform is teaching space-time new patterns." The board was right about one thing. We're not just bending reality, we're remaking it. These changes will spread. Maya watched as another wave of board ships retreated, their perfect formations breaking apart as they encountered zones of space where probability no longer behaved according to their understanding. "Send a message to the board flagship," she ordered. "Tell them they have a choice. Accept that reality itself is changing and work with us to understand these changes, or continue fighting a battle they cannot win." The response came quickly. "You don't understand what you're doing. These probability alterations will cascade. You're not just changing local space. You're initiating a transformation that could affect the entire galaxy. Reality itself is learning new patterns from your manipulation." "We understand perfectly," Maya transmitted back. "Humanity has always changed its environment, pushed boundaries, rewritten rules. Now we're doing it on a cosmic scale. You can adapt, or you can become obsolete. Choose. As if to emphasize her point, the probability fleet executed another synchronized maneuver. Reality rippled around them like waves in a pond, probability fields extending for light years in every direction. Board ships caught in these waves found themselves in space that no longer obeyed their understood laws of physics. "Captain," Sarah's voice carried new urgency. "The probability cascades are accelerating. Each manipulation we perform makes the next one more effective. It's like..." She paused, searching for the right words, like reality is developing muscle memory. "These new patterns are becoming the default state." Maya watched as the last board ships retreated from Earth's space, leaving behind a zone of permanently altered reality. Humanity hadn't just won a battle. They had changed the fundamental nature of space-time itself. "Send word to Earth Command," she ordered. "The immediate threat is neutralized, but..." She looked at the sensor readings showing probability cascades spreading through nearby systems. "We may have started something we can't stop. Reality itself is learning new tricks, and it's learning them from us." The probability fleet regrouped near Earth, their hulls still shimmering with quantum uncertainty. They had defended their home, but in doing so, they had initiated changes that would reshape the very fabric of the universe. The real question now wasn't whether they could win this conflict. It was whether the galaxy could survive humanity teaching reality itself new ways to behave. Admiral Sarah Chen, her promotion fast-tracked after the Battle of Earth, stood in the Quantum Engineering Center's observation dome, watching reality itself change. The holographic display showed the spread of probability alterations across the galaxy in real time. Red zones marked areas where physics no longer followed its original rules. Yellow showed regions in transition, and the shrinking blue sections represented spaces still governed by classical probability. "Another quantum fracture in the Orion sector," reported Dr. James Wong, now her chief science advisor. "3 more civilizations have lost FTL capability as probability patterns shift in their systems. The cascades are accelerating." Sarah traced the expanding waves of altered reality with her finger. Humanity's victory over the board's blockade had come at a price none of them had fully anticipated. Every probability manipulation their ships performed made reality more susceptible to further changes. Like a path worn through grass, the new patterns were becoming the default state. "Status of the refugee fleet from the Silicon Confederation?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "Arrived safely in Sol system," Maya Rodriguez answered. The former captain now commanded the entire probability fleet. Their quantum technology failed completely when their home systems shifted probability patterns. They had no choice but to evacuate to zones where we can maintain stable physics. The irony wasn't lost on any of them. The very civilizations that had supported the board's attempt to quarantine Earth were now seeking refuge in human space, where at least the probability alterations were controlled and predictable. A new alert flashed across the display. In the Carina Arm, an entire sector had just experienced spontaneous probability collapse. Classical physics had given way to new patterns, like a dam finally breaking under pressure. "We need to talk about the nexus theory," James said quietly. "The math suggests all these probability cascades are converging. The galaxy isn't just changing randomly. It's developing new fundamental patterns. Patterns based on human probability manipulation." Sarah nodded grimly. Their latest research suggested that reality itself was learning, adapting, evolving. Every probability alteration their ships performed was teaching space-time new behaviors, and those lessons were spreading faster than anyone had predicted. "Admiral," Maya interrupted, "priority message from the board's High Council." "There," she paused, checking the transmission twice. "They're requesting a meeting. Not to negotiate our surrender, but to discuss cooperation." "Put them through," Sarah ordered. The holographic display shifted, showing the assembled board council, representatives from dozens of species, all united in their previous commitment to maintaining probability conservation. Now they looked desperate. "Sovereignty of Earth," the council speaker began, their crystalline form flickering with anxiety. We acknowledge our error in attempting to contain your civilization. The probability cascades have exceeded our worst projections. Reality itself is being rewritten, and we can no longer maintain stability in our systems. Sarah studied their expressions. Fear, yes, but also something else. Hope. You're not here to demand we stop, she realized aloud. You're here to ask for help. The patterns your ships create. Another council member spoke up. They're stable. Controlled. Our attempts to restore classical physics only accelerate the breakdown. We need to understand how you do it. James stepped forward, displaying the latest Nexus theory projections. Within 5 years, the probability cascades will reach every system in the galaxy. Classical physics will be completely replaced by new patterns. The only choice now is whether that transition is controlled or chaotic. The council members studied the data in silence. Finally, the speaker responded. You understand what you're proposing. Teaching every spacefaring civilization how to manipulate probability. The galaxy will never be the same. The galaxy is already changed, Sarah replied. Reality itself is learning new tricks, and it's learning them from humanity. We can either help guide that process or watch as everything you've built crumbles in the chaos. The negotiation that followed was unlike any in galactic history. The board, created to prevent precisely this kind of fundamental change, found itself working with humans to manage the very transformation they had feared. Within months, human probability engineers were stationed throughout the galaxy, teaching other species how to survive in a universe where classical physics was becoming obsolete. The probability fleet, once seen as a threat, became a stabilizing force, helping maintain zones of controlled probability manipulation around vulnerable civilizations. But the changes couldn't be stopped entirely. Reality itself had tasted something new. The human gift for making the impossible probable, and it wanted more. The probability cascades continued to spread, though now they followed patterns humanity helped design. We're not just exploring space anymore, Sarah told her staff one evening, watching the latest probability wave data. We're not even just changing it. We're teaching the universe itself how to evolve. Maya studied the displays showing thousands of alien ships now equipped with human probability drives. They feared us because we changed the rules, she mused. Now they follow us because we understand how to write new ones. Sarah nodded, her attention drawn to a new alert. Another quantum fracture, but this one was different. In a distant sector, reality hadn't just changed. It had done something completely unexpected. Something even their probability manipulation couldn't explain. The universe is learning, she whispered. But I don't think it's just learning from us anymore. It's starting to experiment on its own. The implications of that thought kept her awake that night, watching the waves of change sweep across the galaxy. Humanity had started something profound. Not just a change in how reality behaved, but in how it evolved. They had taught the universe itself how to dream of new possibilities. And no one, not even Earth's probability engineers, could predict what it would dream up next. 10 years after first contact, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Nexus Station, watching reality dream. The massive space station, built at the intersection of major probability cascade waves, served as both research center and diplomatic hub for the transformed galaxy. Through its quantum-enhanced windows, she could see space itself shimmering with possibilities that classical physics had never imagined possible. The latest readings from the Sagittarius anomaly are in, Dr. James Wong announced, joining her at the window. His hair had gone completely white over the past decade, but his eyes still sparkled with scientific curiosity. Reality isn't just learning anymore, Sarah. It's creating. The holographic display showed their most recent discovery, a region of space where probability itself had evolved beyond human manipulation. New physical laws were emerging spontaneously, as if the universe had taken humanity's lessons in probability engineering and begun experimenting on its own. The board's original warning was right, Maya Rodriguez added, her captain's uniform now bearing the insignia of the combined fleet. A merger of human and alien ships all equipped with probability drives. We didn't just change reality. We taught it how to change itself. Sarah watched as a convoy of crystalline board ships passed through nearby space, their once rigid forms now flowing with quantum uncertainty. The same species that had tried to quarantine Earth now relied on human probability technology to navigate a universe that no longer followed the old rules. New contact at the anomaly, the station's AI announced. Pattern unlike anything in our database. The main display shifted, showing something that defied description. A region of space where probability itself had achieved a kind of consciousness. It wasn't alive in any conventional sense, but it was aware, reality experimenting with its own nature. We thought we were teaching physics new tricks, James said quietly, but we were actually teaching the universe how to learn. Every probability manipulation, every change we made, we were showing reality itself that change was possible. Transmission arrived from the anomaly, not in any language, but in pure probability patterns. Sarah had learned to read them over the years. This one showed something remarkable. The spontaneous emergence of new physical laws that even humanity's probability engineers hadn't imagined possible. It's beautiful, Maya breathed, watching the patterns evolve. Terrifying, but beautiful. Sarah nodded. The board spent 50,000 years trying to preserve the original laws of physics. We spent 10 years teaching the universe that those laws could change. And now, she gestured to the anomaly. Now the universe is teaching itself. The station shuddered slightly as another probability wave passed through, reality itself rippling with new possibilities. But unlike the early days, there was no chaos, no breakdown of civilization. The galaxy had learned to surf these waves of change, adapting to a universe where probability itself was fluid. Message from Earth Command, the AI announced. The first graduates of the Xena Probability Engineering Academy are ready for deployment. 50 species working together to guide the galaxy's transformation. Sarah remembered the early days, when humanity stood alone against the board's attempts to contain them. Now, the very civilizations that had feared human probability manipulation were sending their brightest minds to learn from Earth's engineers. We never wanted to rule the galaxy, she mused, watching alien and human ships moving together through the shimmering space. We just wanted to explore it, to push boundaries, to do the impossible. And instead, James added, we taught the universe itself how to dream. A new alert drew their attention. Another spontaneous probability anomaly, this one showing signs of organized patterns. The universe wasn't just changing randomly anymore. It was developing purpose, direction, creativity. What do we do now? Maya asked, watching the readings. How do we navigate a reality that's learning to navigate itself? Sarah smiled, remembering the fear in the board's first transmission, their warning about humans breaking probability conservation. They had been right about the changes, but wrong about their nature. Humanity hadn't broken reality. They had freed it. We do what humanity has always done, she answered. We adapt, we learn, we teach, and most importantly, we keep exploring. Because now we're not just exploring space. She gestured to the shimmering quantum patterns visible through the window. We're exploring possibility itself. The anomaly pulsed again, sending out new probability patterns that rippled across space-time. Reality itself was speaking, sharing its dreams with the species that had taught it how to dream. And in those patterns, Sarah could see the future, not a future of fixed laws and rigid conservation, but one of endless evolution and eternal discovery. Humanity had changed the rules of reality. Now reality was changing itself, and the greatest adventure in history was just beginning.